In this episode, I'm going to show you why what you think could be procrastination, if you are procrastinating in one of these 11 areas in your business, might not actually be procrastination. It might be your nervous system trying to protect you. The good news is I'm going to give you an amazing tip. It's very, very simple. Is it easy? But it's very simple. Anybody can do it on how to reverse this, to actually do the hard things in your business that you know you should be doing, but some kind of way you're not doing. But what I've learned is that you avoiding doing one of these 11 things in your business is not about a laziness, even though you probably have been labeling yourself that. It's about survival. And you can't really judge your brain for that. That's part of what the issue is. You've been judging yourself. And so we are going to lay the foundation for how to rewire your brain so that you can increase your income and finally be the BADASS that you know you're meant to be, so that you can start doing the hard things in your business that you know subconsciously and consciously that you've been avoiding. And with that being said, welcome to episode 182 of Nicole Purvy Classified, where we train entrepreneurs like athletes, and we don't chase, we train. Y'all know, before I go into all of the details, the list, I got to give you a story. One of my clients the other day, we were working through some things, really getting down to good business. And she's like, listen, stop, hold up. There is something that you don't know. Now, I know that as I grow in my business, and she does numbers, as I grow in my business, there is something that I've been avoiding. And I know that I need to not do this in order to go to the next level, but I just can't help it. I don't look at my numbers, and I don't know what it is. So me being me, I already know what the issue is, but I had to let her kind of explain it. So then she further went on to say, like, the reason that I don't look at my numbers is because some kind of way, I always get it done, but every time I look at my numbers, it's just never enough there, and it really stresses me out. And so I just don't look at it. And so here I am stuck at an income ceiling. And so I said to her, I just let her go on because she really needed to get all of this out. And I said to her, like, first of all, that's common. Like, I need you not to beat yourself up. So first things first, we are going to approach this with a lack of judgment, because you have gotten yourself here, which is far, and you may think that it's not far, but it's far. If you are in business, if you have a business idea, it's far. It's a lot of people that their brains stop when they even think about taking the steps to do a business. There's a lot of people that's not actually bringing in income. It's not a lot of people that's doing these numbers that you are doing. So first of all, the judgment that you're placing on yourself is a lie. We'll get to that in a minute. But the second thing is, you aren't looking at your numbers because you've crafted a story in your mind. Before I go in depth, I want to tell you that everything that you perceive creates a story that your mind is trying to either live out, it's trying to predict. It is a part of a story that your mind is creating. There is no way around this story, whether it's based on truth, you believe it's based on truth, whether it's based on lies, it doesn't matter. There's no way around the fact that your brain is trying to tell a story. Your brain's main job is to try to make sense of its surroundings. You are trying to classify things. You are trying to figure out and assign meaning. That is your brain's main job. Now, sometimes, this is what I told her, sometimes your brain, even to the best quality people like you and me, sometimes, most of the times, a lot of times, your brain assigns the wrong meaning to something. One of the best quotes that I like to think about is a scripture from the Bible. You already know this. The scripture is 2 Timothy something. For God does not give us the spirit of timidity. He gives us the spirit of sound judgment, power, and love. Now, that word sound judgment means sober-minded. It means discipline. There's a couple different words that this word is translated into, but what it assumes is God did not give us the spirit of fear, did not give us the spirit of timidity, but he gave us the spirit of sound judgment, sober-minded. So that means when you have a spirit of fear, i.e. you are fearful of looking at the thing in your business or doing the thing or firing the person or hiring the person. We're going to get to the 11 things in just a minute. When you have a fear of it, you are not being sober. This means you are not looking at it in the right way. Like I just said, your brain will assign the wrong meaning to things. I know it's a whole blow to your ego because you may be one of the many people that walk around and you identify with your beliefs. You are so proud of yourself because you think that you have right thinking. And so therefore it becomes your identity. But one of the things that will really free you to be able to take off financially in your business is this idea that you are not your beliefs. You are not your ideas. You are not your thought processes that you have identified with. They are fleeting. You can believe something until it's no longer true. You can let it go. You will still be the same person that you are. And so her assignment of saying, hey, every time I look at my business, every time I look at the bank account, it makes me feel a way. This link, these two connections between this thought and this emotion is her brain doing really survival. And so first of all, before we even get into survival, these two connections is a meaning that her brain has linked. When I look at my bank account, it's not a lot of money. It's not enough. The numbers, it stresses me out. Therefore, I'm going to trigger myself. This is what your brain does, into experiencing discomfort. So therefore you start linking the bank account with discomfort. Bank account, discomfort. Looking at my numbers, discomfort. Finances, discomfort. And so therefore you assign this meaning that finances equal discomfort, okay? And so she's like, okay. And I know you may be thinking, okay. Hey, hiring or firing that person, discomfort. Your brain is assigning these things. Now, what you can do, this is the beautiful thing that makes us human. This is the special thing that makes us human. We are talking about, oh, I'm only human, like that's a whack thing. No, being human is bomb because we can do this one very special thing that no other form of life that we know of as of right now can do. We can unlink these two things. I know it sounds crazy. I had a conversation actually with two of my clients last week about this, where the one client was like really in an emotional disarray because it's like, these are the things that's going on in my life and it physically makes my body hurt when I think about this, makes my body physically uncomfortable. And this is really kind of where a lot of people believe the disease comes from. I believe it too, but that's another conversation for another day. Right now, we're trying to make you more money. Okay. So she's like, this thing that I'm thinking about, it makes my body it makes my body feel this way. And so I say, listen, you're going to have to wake up. And I'm saying this to you if you're procrastinating in one of these 11 areas that I haven't shared with you yet. You're going to have to wake up. Right now, you're asleep. You are allowing your body and your brain to dictate the meanings that you choose to assign to it based on a drunken state. Your brain is drunk with fear. I know it happens to the best of us. Okay. So now we got to start thinking soberly. So this means now we have to start being really mindful. This is why mindfulness, for those of you who know me, know that I'm heavy into meditation. This is why meditation and mindfulness is important. Not because of any of the woo-woo things, and the woo-woo things do be true. Not any of the woo-woo things, but it is practice. Remember, train, don't chase. We're all about training your mind and body like an athlete. It is training practice for you to now take control over the thoughts that you have and the emotions and the bodily reactions that you have as a result of it. And you may be thinking to yourself like, hey, that thing that I'm uncomfortable doing, that I don't want to do, that I've been putting off in my business, it doesn't show up physically in my body anywhere. But let me tell you something. For most of you, the mind is the body. And so if you go to think about doing the thing and it makes your brain very uncomfortable, it's like, oh my God, that is super uncomfortable. That is your body. For most of you, your brain is the mind is the body. That is part of the body. Okay. So as humans, we have this ability to be able to reprogram, call it neuroplasticity, reprogram how this thought that we have shows up in our emotions through our body and our mind. We can change it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how we change it, but let's get to the 11 things in just a minute. And I got a guide for you really quickly. Before we get into that, I do want to tell y'all that as of recording this, it is May the 11th. My birthday is May 15th. 515, never ever forget it. I'm doing a webinar at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and it is called Predictable Profits. I'm going to show you how to automate your income in any business and get clarity and a whole bunch of stuff. This is a lot of benefits to this webinar. It is so much game. I'm going to do it at 11:30. So make sure that you sign up at the link below. I don't know how often I'm going to promote this webinar on this channel. I don't know how often you'll be able to get it live. So you can ask me all the questions. And I did it last week for the first time. I worked on it for 2 months. I did it last week for the first time. And y'all, it's game. Game on game on game on game on game on game on game. Okay. All right. So real quick, let's get to these 11 things. Here's number 1, following up with leads. 2, making direct offers. 3, looking at your numbers, your finances, like my client. 4, creating, refining systems. Y'all hear me talk about systems all the time. Do you have systems in your business? No, because you've been avoiding them. Because in your mind, it is a difficult area for you. Think it's a big, difficult thing. And so your brain is in survival mode. It doesn't want to do the difficult thing. Number 5, hiring or firing. Number 6, narrowing your offer or audience. This is a big one, a big one. Number 7, marketing consistently. Number 8, setting deadlines or priorities. Number 9, fixing your tech stack. 10, raising your prices. 11, scheduling real rest. If you are avoiding doing one of these 11 things, it is because your brain is assigning a meaning to it that most likely is wrong. And so once it assigns that meaning and makes that connection, it immediately associates the thing with the emotion and then says, we don't want to do that. We're not doing that. We don't want to be discomfort. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And it's not really, I wouldn't really call this procrastination. It is a form of procrastination, absolutely. But procrastination seems like, the reason why I don't like to use that word is because procrastination just seems very capricious. Like, hey, I'm not doing it. I'm putting it off till tomorrow. And procrastination actually, to me, it connotates laziness. And this is not about lazy because you're not lazy. I know you're not lazy because you're watching this podcast. And y'all know I be making y'all do hard work. And we be doing all the work. I ain't lazy. And none of the work that I ask y'all to do is lazy. So I know you're not lazy. This is not about laziness. And that's another thing that I had to say to this client about this. This is about a label that you are assigning. So first things first, you have the thought, right? You assign an emotion to it. And then once you assign the emotion to it, then you assign a label to it. Labeling is like the worst thing that you can do when it comes to your emotions a lot of times, right? We want to throw these labels out like failure. And that's one of the big ones that I hate when people use. I've used it on myself and it always backfires. Or like, hey, I avoid, or I'm procrastinating. And it is a label that then connotates something else that then, here is the kicker, that then creates judgment. It creates judgment. Now, the problem with judgment, especially when you are judging yourself, the problem with judgment is we have what's called these scales that we assign to judgment. And when we judge ourselves, we have to uphold to the scales. It is a psychological thing. There are very few people, usually psychopaths, that will judge something and really truly think that other people have to uphold themselves to that thing and don't think that they have to themselves. And so this is why it's important really not to judge others. In the scriptures, Jesus tells us not to judge others. It's not because, we want to be so kind to the people around us, which we do, but it's not like that soft, be so meek and kind and weak. It's not that. What he's saying is when you judge other people, when you assign labels to things, when you judge things, you really end up judging yourself. And when you judge, there is something in our brains that makes us feel like that there has to be a repayment for it. there has to be a punishment. And so when you assign yourself as lazy, oh, I didn't do this thing, I am lazy, your brain then self-sabotages your finances. Because you are telling yourself over and over and over again, I'm procrastinating. Procrastination most of the time equals lazy. When you then say, I am lazy, now you have to self-sabotage, because laziness can't be rewarded to most good people that are not psychopaths. Laziness can't be rewarded. And so you then walk around with these conflicting beliefs. Hey, I work really hard. I'm doing this. I'm doing my best. I'm doing this. I talked to this client. I know I did a great presentation. I know I did this. I know I did that. Therefore, I should be making this money. But at the same time, you don't do these things in your business, one of those 11 things, and then you are procrastinating, and procrastinating to you equals lazy. And therefore, I am lazy. Therefore, I shouldn't judge it, or I shouldn't deserve it, I should say. Do you see how you have these conflicting beliefs? Conflicting beliefs are never going to get you to your desired income level. I think I'm doing a great job because I'm the bomb. You are. I promise you, you are. If you listen to this, you're the bomb, okay? Period, point blank. You're the bomb. I'm lazy. Now, here's the other thing that procrastination will do. I just said that procrastination has a connotation of the word lazy. It also can mean, this was my issue, cowardice, a punk, or the other P word that means cat. That's the word that my brain likes to use. Girl, toughen up. You being a cat. I'm from Philly, y'all. Don't forget. Don't forget. That's a word that is thrown around a lot. Okay? You being a punk. Ask one of my business partners. I had like a week about a month ago where I had to do all these difficult things. And Noel from the fund, one of my partners in Invictus Elite Fund, our private equity real estate fund. And he, to me, is the personification of he's just courage. He just does tough things. He was actually an Olympic athlete, okay? And so he was my emotional support dog for that week. So I was calling him like, yo, I did 4 difficult things. And then I'm talking to him and I'm like telling him, I'm like, Nicole, don't be a cat. Okay, all right, cool. So look, right? The judgment. Now, let's arrest this idea of judgment. This is something that I can probably boil this down to 80% of any of my clients, any of you guys' issues, peel back the layers, is not differentiating between critique and judgment. Because you are alpha personality type of people, you are always looking to assign meanings and use strong language to pull yourself out of it. And so when you realize that you're procrastinating in your business, you're not doing the difficult thing, you then will put a label on it, and then that label will lead to judgment. And you can look at something and critique it and not judge it. I just had this conversation with one of my girlfriends because we were talking about our children, and her son is 2 years younger than my son, but they're the same sign. And so I was just talking about the joys of raising my son and his personality characteristics. No judgment. And she's like, yeah, my son is that way. We need to have this conversation more because I need to talk about it, because I was telling her I just be at certain point I just be tapping out because he's 4. I know grown men that are not emotionally mature. Why would I expect a 4-year-old to be emotionally mature? But one of the things that I was telling her that I was working on him, and for those of you who like to do a zodiac, I do find this to be true with Leos. Especially my son, because they are performers, they like to look at detail. They really have a heightened sense of awareness to detail. This is not just me judging. This is not just me assessing my son. I have a homegirl that's a Leo. A couple other people that I know that are Leos. Could just be a coincidence. Who knows? But their attention to detail is crazy. Oh my God. I could sit here. I don't even want to sit here and tell y'all stories because I don't want to make this podcast episode about my son. Because y'all know how moms could get. Just the attention to detail is crazy. But at my job at this age is to stop him from judging, because what Leos tend to do is when they notice so much detail, they will judge everything. And so, but this is all of us, especially for you high performers. You notice every single attention to detail. It is okay to notice detail, but not judge it. I promise you don't have to judge it. I promise you. The reason that you don't want to judge it is not because you want to be kind to yourself. For sure, you want to be kind to yourself. But when you judge something, you always are judging the thing in yourself. And again, you have to, there is a cause-effect thing within ourselves that we have to always constantly make sure, especially if you're a good person, make sure that there is a right or a wrong need to be righted. I can give you all a ton of scripture when Jesus talks about, hey, don't talk about the speck in that guy's eye when you got a log in yours. There's also this concept of karma. I don't want to get too deep into it, but this is why Jesus is our savior, because he allows us to take all the judgment, all the things off of us. And he says, here, give it to me. Because if you leave yourself with this judgment in this state of judging things all around you, you're going to then hold yourself to that same measure and then judge yourself. Because I know you don't think that you're perfect. You're going to judge yourself, and then you're going to need to reap the effects of that karma. I'm not here to convert you. I promise y'all not. That's not my ministry. I just want to remind you of how it affects, how all of this is the same. You and your business, your income, you judging yourself, you procrastinating, what that really means. And as we are fixing these things, you have to look at it without judgment. Okay? All right. I do want to show y'all something. Actually, no. If you go down below, I have an audit. That you can take, and it's something that you can do for all of these areas that you're procrastinating in your business and how to turn it around. But I'll go through the steps of it, but I want you to download the audit down below. Okay, so now that we know all these moving parts, how are we going to fix this? The first thing is we're going to ditch the labels. This is a hill that I've been on for a minute amongst my friends. I heard somewhere that the English language is full of spells, and I find that to be true. You can go and Google it, like words like when someone dies, you go to awake. When you write a word, it's called spelling it. When you're in mourning for someone dying, that's the same word as mourning. Like there's a whole bunch of other things. But the one thing that I did notice about this English language is there are words and labels for things that can then take you down a wrong path of judgment. Like I said, like the word procrastination. So you always want to be very, very mindful with the words that you choose to yourself, because those words have underlying meanings. And so the words that you use when talking to yourself, you want to either use words that are very kind or words that don't have judgment, that lack judgment. This is important. As you notice that you procrastinate in these areas and you see that, hey, I have this thought about this area of my business, it triggers this emotion. Do not judge yourself for that. You're just using the English language, and it's hard when you don't know how to speak another language. Don't judge yourself for that. Okay? No judgment. Now we have to reframe it and say to ourselves, for instance, with that particular client, I said to her, you are looking at your bank account and saying, this is not enough money. What you need to look at your bank account and say, hey, I'm almost there. Things are getting better. Hey, at least there's money in here. There's people that don't have money in their bank account. I'm grateful for every dollar that's in here. Run it up. These dollars are my little soldiers. I got a good amount of soldiers in here. It's not all the soldiers that I want, but I'm going to make best use of these soldiers. Let's do it. Use checking your bank account as an opportunity to, one, hey, every time I check my bank account, I'm rewiring. This is a new opportunity for me to rewire my brain. So I'm going to start looking forward to checking my bank account. Checking my bank account is showing that I'm being courageous. I'm giving you different ways that you can look at this so that you can stop assigning the labels and thus stop assigning this thought to this negative emotion, which your nervous system is avoiding you from doing. One other thing, I want to leave you with this last thought. In the scriptures, specifically in Joshua, right after Moses gets Israel through the wilderness, to get them out of Egypt, get them through the real wilderness. And in the book of Joshua, in that very first chapter, right after Moses dies, now Joshua's in charge. And Joshua's having a conversation with God. And God says to him multiple times, fear not and be of good courage. Now, when I saw this, any little thing will set something off for me when I'm reading the scriptures. Fear not and be of good courage. Why does he keep saying both of those things? Don't they mean the same thing? Fear not and be of good courage? No, they don't mean the same thing. Fear not means this process that we are going through where we are removing the fear so that we can think soberly. Being of good courage means acting even when the fear is there. So sometimes you can fear and not have of good courage. Now, there's a difference between good courage and bad courage. We'll talk about that in a later date. But fear not. Listen, you got to remove the fear because you are thinking in a very drunken way. So we have to reframe it. Reframing it takes away the fear. Being of good courage, there are some things that you are absolutely going to be afraid of. And the best one that I can think of is like, hey, fear of God. He's like, I'm not telling you that you can't have fear. You should be fearful of me, but also still come to the throne boldly. God, I'm afraid of you. Don't get it twisted, but I'm coming to the throne boldly. So that means I'm acting with the fear there. And so in this whole experience, this is about removing the fear, reframing this so that I do not fear anymore. Because when you are thinking drunk, when you're drunk on fear, it is really hard to have courage over it because you're not looking at things from a proper perspective. And you can't have courage in spite of fear when it's your mindset, you're drunk, you're not seeing things accurately. So I want you to think about that. And if you can join me on Wednesday, make sure you join me. Go down below, Wednesday, 11:30, Predictable Profits. And if you really love this episode, check out this next video where I talk about the secret checklist to scale any business fast, and it's based in biblical scripture. All right. Remember, guys, train, don't chase.